Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about perfumes that I wear to the office, and I'm going to talk about 4 of them. And obviously these are not the only 4 perfumes that I'll wear to the office. I'll wear anything to the office. I'll wear oud, I'll wear tuberose, you name it. But these 4 fragrances have something in common to me. Every time I sniff them, they make me think of the same kind of profile, even though they're all pretty different. And they all have this very understated, agreeable, sleek, and maybe a little bit gray feeling about them. So if you're interested to hear about my picks for the office, stick around. Okay, so the first one I'm going to talk about is Escale in Haiti by Les Indemodables. This is from 2020, and the notes on this one are vetiver, juniper, pink pepper, tonka bean, and myrrh. The reason I love this one is that it has such an excellent evolution through the day, in addition to smelling super high quality, as you would expect from Les Indemodables. But when you spray it on, it is like the best just out of the shower scent. It's extremely crisp, sparkly, cool. It has a gin and tonic vibe because of the juniper, but it's also minty and peppery from the pink pepper. It almost has like an aldehydic touch about it, and one thing I really like about it in particular is that there is no citrus here. So often I think you get vetiver paired with like a grapefruit or another citrus note. Here it's like a cool, almost medicinal take on a vetiver fragrance. Over the course of the day though, it warms up on your skin, it becomes really earthy, creamy, it's especially kind of nutty. It's a really nice interplay between the tonka bean and the vetiver, with a little bit of an interest from the myrrh as well. I get all of the notes here. And it's very subtle, it's not loud at all, but I actually have gotten really enthusiastic compliments on this one at the office. And I wear it on days where I'm wearing a suit and I have to get really, really spiffy. I put this one on because it's absolutely something that you cannot object to, and it just smells so high quality, so high class. And when I first got it, I didn't reach for it that much, but I've been reaching for it more and more. It's just a really, really incredible fragrance. So check it out. Okay, this next one is perhaps the one that is not like the others, in that for most people, they would probably think it leans a little bit feminine. It's Aldehyde 44 by Labo, and this is a new pickup for me. I got this in September during the City Exclusives event. This is a City Exclusive for Dallas. And I'll start off by saying that, yes, it is extraordinarily overpriced. I think this is like $170 for this tiny 15 ml bottle. But I sampled this last year. I think it was in a video that I did as well. And I really loved it then, and it's been on my mind since. So when September rolled around this time, I didn't even sample it again, I just ordered it. And I'm so glad I did. It is one of the more interesting fragrances that I've tried in a while. The notes on this one are aldehydes, musk, ambrette, narcissus, neroli, vanilla, woodsy notes, tuberose, and jasmine. It's interesting though, because the feeling that I get from this more than anything is one of soft focus, where all of the notes are kind of obscured or blurred by the extreme dose of aldehydes resting on the top of this fragrance. So you get the sense that it's floral and musky, but it all is under this layer, like in the 80s when they'd rub Vaseline on a camera lens so that you'd have like a soft glow, a halo around you. That's kind of how all the notes in this one smell. It's really agreeable and it's really pleasant, but there's also something, because of those aldehydes, that reminds me of variously candle wax, old cigarette smoke, like when you walk into an apartment where somebody smokes or smoked a long time ago, and you have that like chemically smokiness in the air. Doesn't smell like cigarette smoke, but just that like staleness. It also reminds me of mothballs, even, and I don't know if this is like the power of suggestion, there's like a tiny bit of the smell texture of formaldehyde, And every time I've worn this, I get a different feeling from the kind of aldehydic nature of it. It's very interesting. It smells very pretty. The performance is incredible. I was worried the first time that I wore it that I had made a mistake, but I'm really super happy to have this one. One of the more interesting things in my whole collection, and I've been wearing it at least once a week to the office, so I'm very happy with it. One more thing, I had to turn the camera back on to say that one of the strongest impressions that I get from this fragrance is that of a school teacher, like an elementary school teacher or a school nurse. And there's something about that combination of how pretty, pleasant, and comforting it is on top of the kind of environment where those people work. So just had to add that because it was important to me. Next up is another one that I got fairly recently. It's the original Bottega Veneta Pour Homme. And I think this one is now discontinued now that Bottega Veneta has their extraordinarily expensive exclusive line. But I picked this one up for a song recently, like $40. And I'm really happy to have it. The notes here are Siberian pine, juniper, bergamot, Canadian fir, clary sage, and Jamaican pepper, leather, patchouli, and labdanum. Now, if aldehyde 44 reminds me of a lot of classically feminine traits, I'd say that this Bottega Veneta reminds me of a stereotypically masculine figure. However, it's not one that has like a lot of growl or bravado. It's very subtle, it's very leathery. It kind of smells like the bottle looks. It's gray, it's serious, it's very dry. In the opening, I get a ton of these pine and fir resins. It's very terpenic and cold, almost like being in a wintertime forest, with a little bit of bergamot for freshness. But as it warms up, it becomes greener. It steps away from being just a pine scent into being something that's more sagey and woody. There's also a warmth from the pepper note. I don't know what kind of pepper they're trying to convey, but it does have like this spicy, almost jalapeno-esque feel. And it moves into the base with a leather note that kind of smells like shoe polish to me, with some labdanum and patchouli. But what I really admire about it is that it's very subdued, it's very quiet luxury, and as masculine as it is, I feel like this would be completely gorgeous on a woman. There's just something about it. So if you're interested in smelling this one, try to get your hands on it because it's super cheap now, but I have a feeling it won't be forever. Okay, and this last one is another recent pickup. I had my eye on this fragrance for a long time, and then I was watching a video by one of my favorite YouTubers. Her name is Moody Boo. I'll link her channel below. If you don't follow her, you really should. But she was doing a declutter, and she was selling off this bottle of Masculine Pluriel by Maison Kurkdjian, and I hopped on it. I bought her bottle because I really wanted one of the bottles that had the older gray juice. This was re-released not so long ago. I don't know if it was ever officially discontinued, but it was off the market for a long time, and they brought it back with clear or yellowy juice. And I just really wanted, for the aesthetic purposes, to have this gray juice bottle. So I got it. I'd smelled it before in San Francisco on a work trip, and I was in love with it. And I'm very happy to have it now. This one has notes of lavender, vetiver, patchouli, cedar, woody notes, and leather. What I get from this one in the beginning is just an explosion of beautiful, rich, oily lavender. It's creamy, almost lactonic, green, and with that barbershop-y lavender that you would know from any number of classic men's fragrances. The difference here, though, is that it kind of explodes out of the bottle in a very Kurkdjian way, where it's floaty and airy and kind of lingers in the air with that beautiful sillage that you might associate with something like Baccarat Rouge 540. It's super modern, clean, instantly recognizable as like a men's fragrance, but with a very modern take. Now, the thing that surprises me now that I have a bottle and been wearing it more is I didn't realize how sweet Masculine Pluriel becomes as it warms up. I read somewhere on base note, somebody said that there was a funnel cake note that appears somewhere in here with the patchouli. And I totally get that. There is something that is syrupy sweet somewhere in the heart notes. And it reminds me actually a lot of another Francis Kurkdjian fragrance, which is Tihoda by Indult, which was his first independent brand. But Tihoda is this vanilla, sponge sugar, super syrupy fragrance. And in the heart notes of Masculine Pluriel, it smells like that. It smells like cakey, patchouli, sugar, vanilla. It's really, really beautiful, but it's also much heavier than that opening would lead you to believe. All in all though, as it dries down after several hours of wear, the best part of this fragrance is an ambery, vetivery, patchouli dry down, which is just among the coziest dry downs of any fragrance that I've ever tried. It also reminds me a lot of another creation by Francis Kurkdjian, I'm now named 3, but for him by Narciso Rodriguez, which also comes in a gray bottle, and which was also kind of a take on a fougere. Especially in the deep dry down, these two have a very similar warm, sweet, amber patchouli with kind of a synthetic, intentionally synthetic something that's hard to put my finger on, but in both of them, the dry down is by far the best part of an absolutely spectacular perfume. So I couldn't be happier to have added this one to my collection. Well, those are my thoughts on 4 fragrances that I like to wear to the office. If you've smelled any of these, I'd love to know what you think about them down in the comments, but above all else, I'd love to hear what you wear to work, whether it's an office or a job site or a store or a restaurant. Let me know what makes you feel like the employee of the month. Anyway, I'll talk to you next time, guys. Bye.